Hi there, Sean Clancy here, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about this topic of taking my pentatonics and making them diatonic. In order to get the most out of this video, pick up your guitar because we're going to need to get it under our fingers. If you're just sitting in your bed watching this, flicking between cat videos, and you come across this video, you want to grab your guitar. In fact, I'll pause this video here, grab your guitar, get set up, and then we'll proceed. So, going from pentatonics to diatonics, most of my students know their 5 pentatonic scales. So, if I start on, say for example, G, here's my first pentatonic shape. No surprises there. Then I've got shape 2, which is the same notes, but just starting at one jigsaw pattern bigger. Then I've got this next one, which is shape 3, which is 3 smalls in a row. Shape 4, which starts with 2 bigs. Shape 5, which is our last one. 2 smalls, drop down a position, up in position, and 2 smalls. Okay, but we're going to be working with this one here. But we're going to take it up 2 frets because we're going to be using A minor. Because that's related. All those notes there's no sharps or flats. So we've got C, A, G, E, D, C. Okay, so, and most people know this shape. So that's a pentatonic, because if I go from the octave, from here to here, I get 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, octave. Diatonic means that you're going to add 2 notes to that to make a diatonic, which means 7-tone scale. For example, here's this sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So the reason that we want to add these 2 notes is to create more information, to create more interesting lines. The fundamental idea of soloing is to connect one chord tone to another chord tone using a scale or other kind of devices. And one of the most common ways of doing that is by using a scale. If we just use pentatonic, for example, say if I want to start here, say if the chord is this, and I want to go here to here, I'm going to go. So we went to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, does that make sense? So the idea of scales is to go from one chord tone to another. But sometimes that's a bit boring. You want to add some, like you might want to go. Alright, something like that, which is a little bit more, there's a lot more information. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to get these extra 2 notes to create more information. So, if I take my C major scale, that's called C major. And the relative minor of that is A minor. What you do is you take the C and you drop down 3 frets, and that becomes your Aeolian, or your 6th chord, or your relative minor of C major is A minor. Now, if C major is, now I'm going to use some Greek names here so don't get scared. C major is usually the 1 chord. We call it the 1 chord. It's a major, or it could be a major 7. Depends what the function is. But usually it's a major, right? C major. We can think of that as a 1 chord. The relative minor of that is an A minor. So I could play my major pentatonic off C. But you may not know that, so why don't we do this? Let's use the same notes but using our humble shape 1 and start from here. Little finger. on the 8th fret. And go through our pentatonic, and we get the same sound. Easy to play, and it sounds like this chord, right? Now, if this was a 1 chord, then this shape here is going to be something called Aeolian. So we need to add it, like if this is a 1 chord, this is a 6 chord. Now, when you listen to a pop song, there's usually 6 possible chords you're going to choose from. There's the 1 chord, which is a major, 2 chord, which is a minor, 3 chord, which is a minor, 4 chord, which is a major, 5 chord, which is a major, 6 chord, which is a minor. And the most common version of that is, now that's 1, 4, 5. And all of those are major. 1, 4, and 5 are all major chords. Now, all the other 2s, 3s, and 6s are all minors. So the 1, 4, 5 are major, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor. And basically, most songs are comprised of these 6 chords. Now, I want to differentiate between modal shapes and modes. Modal shapes. This is just a way to get around the fretboard. Your mode is already established. It's just a way to move you around the fretboard. And what I do is I use the E string versions of these, just to name them. So if I wanted to play, say for example, Aeolian, I would go start on A, and I'd play this shape. Oh. But if I was playing in C major, same notes in Aeolian. These are just shapes to get around. Now, when I talk about modes themselves, basically depending on where you put your home tonic chord, usually the first chord in the progression, that will establish what kind of sound or mood that you will have. So, for example, if I play C major, and I make this my home chord, C, and then I start playing solo in C, sounds happy, right? And that also works with the chords. So I like to make a progression where I can play a happy Ionian C progression. I'd start on C, of course, and then I'd use the 5 other chords to try to establish it. There's a 4 chord. Let's go to a 6 chord, to a 5 chord, resolving on a C chord. And that's a happy sound, right? That's the Ionian mode, or the first mode. And basically, depending on which chord you start on, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6, you get a different mood. And that's basically how modes work. So let's explain what the modes are. Let's associate the number of chord, what degree of the chord it is. In this case, this is a 1 chord. This is also known as an Ionian chord, which means the 1 and the Ionian, same thing. You can interchange those 2 terms. So if I'm playing an Ionian chord, I know that my scale pattern that I may want to solo over it is. But I might not know I might not know those particular shapes there. So I just drop down 3 frets to my trusty pentatonic, and I play the same notes. But if this is Ionian, the relative minor is Aeolian, which is this. Now, look at the 2 big strings here, the 2 big gaps here on the end. For Aeolian, you need to add these 2 notes. So you'd be going 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. Now, wherever you find your other pentatonic shapes, then you could apply that. And of course, whenever you hit the E's, like the 2 E's are always the same shape. So Yep. Now that's a minor Aeolian, but if I'm playing in C major and I make this my home note, not this, I get C major. If I make this my home note, I get A minor. Same shape, two different tonalities, right? One's Ionian and one's Aeolian. Ionian, Aeolian. Aeolian is a sixth chord. It's a minor. And the mode that goes along with Aeolian is serious minor. There's nothing playful about it. You can make epic riffs using Aeolian. Ionian, happy, it's a one chord, it's a major chord. Aeolian is a minor chord, and it's serious. Alright, now, believe it or not, there are actually two more pentatonic shapes in the major scale that share exactly the same notes. So let's take our pentatonic shape from A and let's move this whole thing up to the 10th fret. And this is a Dorian pentatonic. And it sounds like this. And it uses still the same, it uses the same notes as C major. And also shares the same notes with Aeolian. The difference is the pentatonic, which notes we add here. So we're going to go gap, no gap for both these top two strings. This pentatonic down here. 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. You go 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13. Same notes, positionally. You can jump between those two right now, yeah? Without having to freak out too much, because you're just using that same pentatonic shape. Now, believe it or not, there's another pentatonic shape. But first, let's talk about the relative major of Dorian. Dorian is a minor blues sound. It's relative major. Let's go up 3 frets. And we get to an F. Now this is the 4th chord. Yeah, we were playing this before. There's a 4 chord there. Now F is a modal shape that basically we'll just start here. If it's here, it's Dorian, minor blues. But if I start here, I get Lydian, for example. Now the deal with scales and why we want this information is we want to go from one chord to another. Now, if I play this shape, I'm going to be hearing this chord. Yep. Of course, I wouldn't just go up and down it. I would jumble up the notes, add some notes to it, try and spice it up, give my lines more information. The next pentatonic shape, the shape 1, is on the 12th fret. And this is known as our Phrygian shape. And Phrygian is really easy to play, but its relative major is mixed Lydian. So and mixed Lydian is a major blues sound. So same shape, two different sounds. Start on the lower one, on the 12th fret, you get Spanish minor, Phrygian. Go up 3 frets to the relative major, you get mixed Lydian, which is major blues. Same notes. Now the big shapes here are no gap, gap. So it'd be like 12, 13, 15, 12, 13, 15. So all the big shapes in relation to that pentatonic wise are going to be no gap, gap. So same notes as Aeolian, but depending on what chord it works over either the 4 chord or the 3 chord. Phrygian chord is a minor. Lydian is a major. So each of these 3 major pentatonics, which is Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, or 1, 4, and 5, have relative minors. The Ionian has a relative minor, which is an Aeolian. The Lydian has a relative minor, which is a Dorian. The Mixolydian has a relative minor, which is a Phrygian. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So, what are these 6 chords I keep talking about? Well, let's go to G. Right, so we're going to play G major. Let's say that's our 1 chord. There's a roadmap where you can work out these chords, but basically 1 is major, it's the Ionian chord. 2 is minor, that's a Dorian chord. 3 is minor, that's a Phrygian chord. 4 is major, that's a Lydian chord. 5 is major, that's a Mixolydian chord. And 6 is a minor, which is our Aeolian chord. Depending on where you start, you get a completely different sound. And you can, it's very easy to work out a song even before it finishes playing on YouTube. Usually most pop songs have about 3 different progressions. And if you know what mode you're playing over, it's very easy to start soloing once you find out where your shape is. How can I explain this a little bit better? Okay, so here's a 1 chord, here's a 4 chord. Now that 4 chord is a C in this case, so I could go. So I'm playing a 4 chord, that means I'm going to play Dorian from here to this point. But I'm outlining the chord, I'm going from 1 chord tone to another. So here's a note. See how it's got that kind of strange sound? Now let me just explain what these sounds are. Lydian is a very interesting chord because if you make that your home base, they use it for movies a lot because it's got a kind of like haunting major sound, or I like to call it exploring caves. Listen to this progression, Joe Satriani. There's a 4 chord going to a 5 chord. Imagine if you just you see a scene, people have just found this glowing cave, they're walking into it. That works, doesn't it? That's the Lydian sound. It's kind of haunting and major. Now it's just starting from making the 4 chord the home chord, right? So we've got a 1 chord, 5, A to B, A major to B major basically, with an A on the bottom. And I could probably go up to a 6 chord in this case. So I'm checking in that. Yeah. Now, so Lydian gives you that haunting major sound. So what are the order of the modes? If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can think of it as here's the order of the modes by learning this sentence. If Dora plays like me, all's lost. So that's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian, which we don't talk about much. But the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1s are Ionians, 2s are Dorians, 3s Phrygians, 4 Lydian, 5 Mixolydian, 6 Aeolian. So you can actually get these modes working for you. Now if I listen to the radio or I listen to a song on YouTube, I can use a process of elimination if I'm a beginner by learning what mode they're using. Now I just do it instinctively, but For example, say if the song sounds majory, I ask the question, is it happy sounding? If it's happy, then it's Ionian. If it's major but it's bluesy, it's most likely going to be mixed Lydian. If it's neither of those two and it's still happy, it might be Lydian. Listen for that exploring cave sound, yep? There's a song by Sting called When We Dance, and that's in Lydian. So it's actually, it is around, yeah? If it's a minor, okay, the question is the song playful? No, it's really serious. So then it's probably Aeolian mode that is going to be the driving overall tonality. If it is playful, or it's jazzy, or bluesy in its minor, it's going to be Dorian, using a process of elimination. But it's neither of those, and unlikely it's going to be Phrygian minor. But the four big radio modes are Ionian, major, mixed Lydian, major blues, Aeolian, serious minor, and Dorian, minor blues. Dorian is actually the default minor chord or scale for minors in jazz. Pretty much. Okay, so if you don't know, this is really for my students, because my students are the ones who need to understand this. I've been teaching them this stuff this week, and I wanted to make it a bit more concise so that they can drill into this video and understand what the hell I'm talking about when I talk about this. It's basically a cheat sheet from going pentatonic to diatonic, and that's actually how I usually solo. I'm using pentatonic shapes, hitting notes, go from one chord tone to another, making sure that I play in time. So I have, when I'm improvising, I have, first thing is time, making sure that I'm in the pocket. Number two is geometric shapes in relation to my ear. So I might just experiment. I'm in Aeolian, I might go, oh, I like that shape. But basically I know what the notes are going to sound like because I've done it so many times. Then I've got my sequences. So all these kind of sequence ideas, which a lot of licks contain sequences. And then I have my licks, for example. So those are licks. Basically, I can execute those at any time. I don't have to think. I don't have to think about the time. I just have to make sure that it sounds good, yeah? And then the last thing is my technique. So, I work on that each day, just making sure that my fingers can do what I want them to do. But basically, those are the things I'm thinking about when I'm soloing. The pentatonic shapes, if I want to play a lick, I'll anchor it to a pentatonic shape. Like, for example, let's take... Okay, so that starts in shape pentatonic too, but it uses more notes than just the pentatonic. It uses some grace notes. It's information to the line, right? Okay, so if you have any questions, please put them in the messages and I'll try and answer them. If you want lessons and want to know a bit more about this practical applicable theory, I give lessons. I'm in Tauranga. I'm pretty easy to get hold of. I've got some spaces. Yeah. So have a nice day. I've got a student coming any minute now. So this video I'm going to give it to him. I'll see you later. Bye.